What's up, everybody, and welcome back. So I've been away shooting in Greece for like the last week or so. Part of that is visiting like friends and family over there. And whilst I was there, Lightroom decided to release a new update with some pretty cool features. So that was great to come back to. So I thought I'd take today just to go over a couple of the features, but also mainly how you can use this to help speed up your workflow. Now, there's some other elements that are in here at the moment that have previously been available in Lightroom. But this is just to show how we can, speed up our workflow a bit, especially when it comes down to portrait stuff and also like enhancing landscape images as well. So I'm on my main setup today because some of the features that have come in, I don't quite have the memory space on my laptop because I took that away with me and I'm very short on storage space there. So I'm going to have to edit up on my main system, which is probably good to be honest because it's a bigger screen. So it looks like Adobe's really trying to lean into the AI quite a lot, which makes sense and considering it's got a lot of competition in the AI starting to come out. But AI has been around in Lightroom anyway with a lot of the select tools since like the last update. So it's nothing new, but actually it can make your life a lot easier. Now the selections aren't perfect, so you still do need to do a lot of detailed work yourself. Don't just take what it gives. But let's get into this and have a look at some of these tricks. So I've got this image that I took over in Greece, and as I open it up and I'm going to go into the mask inside, you can see as I come down, there is now one that says people. Now this has been around before, but if I go into that, I can detect the entire person, and the AI is basically going to go down like facial skin, body skin, hair. Recently we've had clothes added as well, which is quite an interesting one. But there's stuff here that I would have previously done and over in Photoshop. So one of these might actually be like changing the color of the clothes. So if we go ahead and select clothes, now you can see it's actually done an all right job here of selecting a lot of it. But we may have to go in with a brush and brush out some certain areas. Now that's fine. So if we go and we click create mask, I can go down here, click subtract, take a brush, and I can basically go over that and remove and tidy up any areas so it's exactly perfect. Depends on what you're using this for. If it's going to go on Instagram, then people are looking at it on their phone. Perhaps you don't need to be as perfect, you can save a bit of time. But certainly if you're doing something that's portfolio based or going for print, take your time with it. So we've selected all these clothes, and one of the things that I like that's now been introduced as well is the curves tool down here. This is great because now we can, instead of just riding on like the exposure and the contrast sliders up at the top, we have a lot more control over the contrast and even some colors that we can introduce into this. So if I dip down like the shadows a bit here, I can choose to like raise this up and fade it out. There's all of the different things we would have done with the curves tool in the past now with a mask. So when I'm compositing stuff together, if you've seen my videos on that, you'll see that I use the curves tool a lot to really get things, different elements to match in. Now I like this here because it's just giving me more option. If you're not sure what to do with the curves tool though, please do check out my other video on that and you'll see the real power that we can get from it. So straight away what I'm going to do is just improve the contrast like a little bit more on this. So I've just dipped that down. And yeah, it's just making that look a little bit more like dramatic. Now, some of the other interesting things you can do with clothes then is play around with like the color sliders a bit more. So we've got the hue one. You can see as I slide the hue up and down, this is a way that I can suddenly start bringing in some different colors into the clothes. Now, this ain't a great example because it's a black top, but it's just showing you that even with a black top, we can still do a lot of stuff with that there. We can also go and select a different color up top. So maybe I'll go up into the blues and I can really pick any of these. I quite like the blue top there, so I'm going to go right the way up. I've not put any presets over this at the minute, but I'm just going to change this into a blue top. And you can see that this looks a little bit funky with the tights being blue now, so I'm going to go like back into my mask that's there, subtract, brush, and I'm just going to get rid of the tights and the boots area. Make that brush a little bit smaller that. And yeah, just make that look a bit better. There we go. So we've got it basically just tackling purely on the top here. Now we can see there's some slight bits missed. So I can go over to my ads. Again, be very, very detailed. Make sure I get every element in here. The AI is pretty good at picking up a lot of the stuff, but it's not perfect. So you can see there's a toggle light on and off. I've brought a bit of contrast in, and I've managed to change the color of clothes. This is great because it would have taken like a while to do before to brush everything over. And again, it's something that I used to do in Photoshop a lot more, and it's just improving my workflow. But how can you improve your workflow even more? Well, you can save these now as either brushes, or you could save them as presets, and then you can use them later on in your images. Once we've got this and we're happy with it, we can select our mask here, go up top to create a preset, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to select our mask. Name the preset. So I might change that to close color. And then click create. Don't forget you can choose if you want to create a new group. So let's say we'll create a new group and we're just going to call this brushes or masking. Probably masking is a better one to use. So we'll call that masking. Create. And now when I go over to my presets to the side, I've got this one added in here under masking. I've got my close color. So if I go back and let's delete that mask from there, we'll go over the top, and you can see as I go on and highlight that, it already bricks up the close. Now you'll notice this time, because what it's doing, the AI is trying to pick up the close, and it's actually picked up more this time down here on the jumper as well. So if we add it, we can go into the mask, and remember we can go on subtract, and we can just take away anything is added into the image that we don't want. The point is, you can basically create a whole load of these very specific masks now, which is great. So before we would have done as brushes, and I'm going to show you that one in a second, but when it comes to doing portrait like photography edits, this is fantastic, because if you know how you edit and how you like to edit, and you find yourself doing the same things all the time, you can now go in and create a whole load of presets just for the clothes, lips, eyes, all of this stuff. Basically, when you went over into the masking here and you looked at the person, we can go down all of these different ones. Certainly one that I would do quite a lot for is eyes. I find I always do the same thing with eyes, which is just sort of increase the exposure and the saturation just to really like make them pop out a little bit more. I don't tend to do anything different with eyes, so for me, I'm going to save that as a preset as well. And anytime I come over, I can just apply this on. So that's one way that we can improve our workflow and get through our edits really quickly. Second way then is actually to save some brushes. And this is something that I do a lot with landscape photos like this. And that's the first time I'm kind of seeing this photo, but I took this just on my on the iPhone because I didn't have my camera with me at the time. I broke my own rule, which is never leave your camera at home. But it was a family dinner, and I didn't realise that there was this amazing view they had at the back of their house. So I got what I can on some iPhone images, and I'm going to try and edit them up as best as I can. To be honest, I'll probably never use this one as a print. I'll just use it for social media. Regardless, it gives us a good chance to look at how we might use this with brushing. So let's take a sky one then, for example. Let's try a similar thing with the sky. If you've seen my sky fix video, I'm just going to rush through a couple of these. I'm not going to go over the choices I'm doing. You can check that one out. But if I bring down the highlights of this, and let's bring up the dehaze slightly as well, and we go in to get that kind of like dramatic vibe from the sky. Once I've got that saved, I can then do the exact same thing, which is I can go over here, create preset, mask one, and this time I might call that sky. I'll call that sky fix. So if I get rid of this, I hover over my sky fix, and there you go. And I can very easily just bring this in. And my point of doing that is that once it's in there, you know, my settings are there. Yes, they're not going to be exact. I can tweak them as I go up and down. And it doesn't just speed up my workflow. It actually keeps my photos consistent as well. So I keep my same editing style with all my masks, just like you would use your normal presets to keep your editing style. For brushes then, one that I tend to use quite a lot is like to enhance certain areas. So down here, maybe I want to bring out like some of these darker areas a bit more, so I'll brush over like all of this. And then I'm gonna just like raise shadows and stuff. I tend to do this quite a lot in landscape photos when I've got rocks or brickwork, something I want to just bring out a little bit more. So I'm going to raise the shadows, the exposure slightly, and I'm going to raise the clarity as well. And yeah, it's just to bring out that area. So if I toggle that on and off, you can see that's a bit brighter. Now what I can do with this then is I can come up top and see where we've got, if I click in preset, you've got all of these different presets that automatically come. Most popular ones, dodge and burn, if you use them in Lightroom a lot. But you can go down to the bottom here and save current settings as new preset. And let's call that enhance landscape. Now what I'll tend to do is I'll just have a load for like landscapes, a load for other ones. But I'm going to click create. So now if I create a new brush, and let's just say I'm going to focus on the concrete bits that are down at the bottom here, I can go up to the top where the preset is, and I've got my enhanced landscape preset. So I can click that, and you see I get the same settings, and then I can simply brush over that. So if we click new brush, select the enhanced landscape, I'm just going to brush over those concrete steps there as well, just to bring them out a little bit more. So that automatically for me like speeds up my workflow a lot more. Whilst I'm not going to like create very specific like selection tools for this, it's just handy to have it there, so I know that when I'm approaching all my landscape photos and I'm using that enhance tool, it's going to be roughly like consistent across all of the different images. Another one I would do quite a lot then is the sea as well, so I would do the exact same process but onto the sea. So I might take a brand new brush and I'll just like paint over the sea there, and I would either change the color temperature to be a bit more blue, I can saturate it more as well, or I could even choose just to put in like a bit more of an aqua type blue into there if I want the sea to be a bit more turquoisey. And again, you can save these brushes as many times as you want. You could save an aqua one, a saturated one. It's just a tool that saves time and keeps things consistent. So I hope that's been useful for you, but these are a couple of tricks that I've used in the past with the brushes, and now the fact that we can save these select people like features like the clothes and all of that as their own presets, I think is amazing, because that's going to save me a lot of time. So what I'd encourage you to do is go through your images and basically just set up a load of brushes, the things that you find you do all of the time, create them as a brush. Now, if you're doing portrait stuff as well, create those as presets. That way, when you come in to sit down and edit, you're going to save a lot of time and you're going to get that consistency. So for me, this is a really exciting update. And the fact that I'm now doing more things I used to do in Photoshop in Lightroom is great as well, because I don't have to do as much of that process of going back and forward between them. So really like what's come out in this update here. There's a denoise feature as well, but we'll leave that one alone for today. Hope it's helped, but please do like, share and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.